5:49 a.m., broadcasting live from our studios on Music Row in Nashville, Tennessee. In studio, our very good friend, Congressman Andy Ogles from Tennessee's 5th Congressional District. Good morning, Andy.
Good morning. It's great to be here. Great to be back, actually.
I know. You started coming here about 2 years ago, every other Thursday. Boy, are you at the center of, the big budget controversy going on. You were one of the few members of Congress who stayed up there over the weekend to try and get something done.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those situations where, if you're going to kind of be involved in that fight, that you should stay to finish what you start. And so most members went home, but myself and Matt Gaetz, Chip Roy, the names that you would recognize, we stayed behind, as well as some of the New York delegation, some of the Cardinals. A Cardinal is one of those that are on the Appropriations Committee, but have seniority. They stayed, and we really tried to hash out what does the path forward look like. And, from a conservative standpoint, we promised the American people we'd pass 12 appropriations bills. That's what we need to do.
Well, and you were one of the 20, I guess we'd call them rebels, who went to 15 ballots and secured some promises from Speaker McCarthy.
Well, so that's my frustration is, in January we had the speaker's fight. Keep in mind that it's been 26 years, so since 1997, before the House of Representatives has passed budgets under regular order. It's always a continuing resolution or an omnibus. And in January, we told the American people that we're going to conduct business the way that we're supposed to. And so now you get into May and June and July, 12 appropriations bills, and only one had passed. And so a leader would say, well, guys and gals, it's July. We're not done. I'm going to keep you here until we finish our business, and we're going to get into a room, and we're going to work this out. But what happened? We were sent home in August. I was an advocate for staying. We had a job to do. We should have stayed in August, and this is why now in September our backs are up against the wall because we didn't stay and finish when we should have.
Now, on Saturday afternoon, there was a conference call.
There was, yeah.
With the members of the Republican caucus, the conference. And I don't know how many people were on, but there's like 200 or so of you, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you. It was a whole bunch of kind of nothing. Now, if you didn't stay behind, if you weren't in the meetings, it was an important call, but I knew about the rules. So what happened was and not to get too much in the weeds on this, but before you vote on a piece of legislation, there's a rule vote that sets forth the parameters of the vote. And so there's a rule that we're going to vote on that puts 4 appropriations bills all together under the rule. But then once we vote on the rule, each bill will be taken up individually. So you can vote, vote on Department of Defense or Homeland or one of the others separately. Now, that being said, it was important if you hadn't been there, but I stayed behind. I was part of that conversation. We worked on and agreed that we would do one rule so we could move it forward, et cetera.
So Speaker McCarthy led that call?
He was on the call, and as was Scalise and Emmer and some of the others in leadership. And again, it was about communication and updating. Quite frankly, there was no whipping, if you will, whipping
votes.
Yeah, whipping votes, other than to say, hey, let's continue to move forward. And there continues to be this push for a continuing resolution, which frustrates me because, look, we said we'd pass 12 appropriations bills. We should pass 12 appropriations bills. And if that means the government shuts down for 4 or 5 days, then that's fine. We should be, hold true to our promise and pass the bills.
When you or Matt Gaetz or some of the other conservatives ask Speaker McCarthy, why are you not honoring your promise to take these 12 separate appropriations bills up one at a time, what does he say to you?
Well, he kind of blames the process of, this committee that and this person that, but he wanted to be speaker. And again, the leverage would have been at the end of July when people are wanting to go home back to their districts because they have events, because they have fundraisers, because they want to be with their family, to say, look, it's the last week of July. We're in the waning hours before we go on break. Get her done or we're staying, and we're going to stay until we finish. Guess what? My guess is we could have finished those 12 appropriations bills by mid-August, right? But instead, we were sent home. And not only were we sent home for August, we were sent home for the first week of September, leaving only 3 weeks left to pass 11 appropriations bills, because we did get one passed, right? And 2 of those bills are still stuck in committee. So, again, there was never a plan to get the trains to run on time. There was never a plan to get those 2 bills out of committee into rules on the House floor before the end of September. This was set up to have another continuing resolution. It was intentional, and it ticks me off. We made a promise. We should keep that promise.
Andy, I watched with great surprise Maria Bartiromo's interview yesterday with Matt Gaetz. She sounded like a Democrat operative in the way she posed these questions. Well, are you shutting down the government? You giving Chuck Schumer an opportunity to jam through a continuing resolution by insisting on these 12 separate votes? I was shocked by the way she approached this. Did you have a similar reaction?
Well, actually, I watched the video. In fact, I reposted it on my, it's Twitter, it's X. I call it Twix, whatever you want to call it, right?
But anyway, very good, Andy.
But on Twitter, but I was impressed with Matt Gaetz. Man, he didn't back down. He stuck to his guns. He made very articulate points. And to your point, like there's starting to be this mantra of if you want to hold people accountable, if you want to do what our Constitution and Founding Fathers intended, that suddenly you're radical. No, we're just trying to uphold the role of government in our lives. And that being said, the only way we get an omnibus, the only way we get a continuing resolution is if Republicans betray the American people and side with the Democrats. Make no mistake. And so if we get jammed by the Senate on some spending bill, it's because Republicans are accomplices to more runaway spending, more pissing American dollars away at a time when we should be cutting spending and making that the number one priority. And going back to the Speaker's Agreement, where's the January 6th tapes, right?
That was one of the 4 things that you wanted.
That's right. And so we have to set up a debt commission. So after World War II, there was a Byrd Committee. It was bicameral, meaning House and Senate. It was bipartisan, and they were looking for ways to cut spending because some of the programs, some of the spending during World War II weren't needed anymore, right?
Well, Andy Ogles, fascinating. You were at the center of this. We'll talk more when we get back. Andy Ogles represents the 5th Congressional District, and I think, Andy, probably one of the hardest working members of Congress.
I made a promise to go up there and fight, and that's what I've been doing.
We'll be back with more after this. You're listening to the Tennessee Star Report. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy. We'll be back. State Senate Majority Leader Jack Johnson will join us after the break.